The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. Buddha gathered his disciples under the sprawling banyan tree. The air was still, carrying a serene calm that held its own lessons. His voice broke the silence, soothing yet commanding attention. "Today, I shall teach you the essence of Tonglen meditation," Buddha said. His disciples watched him intently, their minds eager for the wisdom awaiting them. Buddha gestured toward a nearby traveler, whose face betrayed the heaviness of his burdens. "Look at this man," Buddha began, his tone gentle but probing. "He carries pain, visible in his slouched posture and furrowed brow." The disciples exchanged glances, acknowledging the traveler's silent suffering. Buddha's gaze swept across them, his eyes steady with purpose. "Pain binds us all, much like an invisible thread that weaves the fabric of existence." His disciples nodded, absorbing the profound simplicity of his statement. "Tonglen is the practice of breathing in suffering and exhaling compassion," Buddha said. His words hung in the air, resonating deeply in the hearts of his listeners. He closed his eyes briefly, drawing attention to his rhythmic breaths. "Inhale deeply, letting the suffering enter your being without resistance." The disciples obeyed, feeling the subtle weight of suffering seep into their consciousness. "Exhale," Buddha instructed, his voice softer now, "and with each breath, imagine radiating light and peace outward." A quiet transformation began to unfold, visible in the traveler's face as he seemed less burdened. Buddha turned to the disciples, wisdom etched in his serene demeanor. "This exchange teaches us interconnectedness," he explained. "For no man suffers alone when others willingly share his pain." His disciples reflected on the profound truth embedded in his words. Their hearts stirred. "Do not fear the suffering you breathe in," Buddha continued, "for the act of giving releases it, dissolving boundaries." The disciples practiced, their breaths forming a symphony of compassion shared among themselves. Buddha stood, motioning to the tree's roots that had grown deep into the earth. "The roots remind us of connection, unseen but powerful, holding us together like kin." The disciples marveled at the metaphor, grasping its relevance to the lesson. Tonglen reveals the illusion of separateness and teaches unity in suffering and joy alike, Buddha said, his tone unwavering. The traveler approached Buddha, his posture straightened and his expression uplifted. Buddha smiled gently, offering a simple bow of acknowledgement. "Compassion is a transformative force," Buddha said, "and Tonglen is its living embodiment." The disciples bowed, their spirits enriched, ready to carry the teaching forward. Buddha sat again beneath the tree, his presence embodying the serenity of the lesson. "This practice shapes the mind to embrace the world's complexity," Buddha explained, turning pain into bridges of empathy. The disciples gazed at their teacher, their admiration deepened by the clarity of his wisdom. "Tonglen meditation turns every breath into an act of love," Buddha concluded, his voice enveloping them like a protective shield. The disciples remained in meditation, breathing in suffering and exhaling boundless compassion into the world. Buddha observed them, his heart filled with quiet satisfaction, knowing the seed of wisdom had been sown. Night fell, and the banyan tree stood witness to a profound transformation that echoed silently. Another day, the sun rose, casting light upon a village worn by the trials of famine. Buddha walked through its dusty paths, observing the gaunt faces of its people. His disciples followed, their hearts weighed by the visible suffering around them. A child approached, his eyes hollow and desperate, clutching a ragged piece of cloth. Buddha knelt before the child, offering his calm presence as comfort. "In every face here lies a reflection of our own fragility," Buddha said. The disciples listened closely, their breaths shallow with the weight of the moment. "To practice Tonglen here," Buddha continued, "is to face suffering without retreat, breathing in its rawness." He looked at the child, whose trembling hands spoke of hunger and despair. When we see pain, we are seeing a part of ourselves mirrored back, Buddha explained. The disciples nodded, their faces etched with understanding and sorrow. Buddha turned to them, his voice steady yet filled with compassion. Inhale deeply the anguish you witness here, he instructed. Let it flow into your being without resistance. The disciples obeyed, breathing in the sorrow that permeated the village air. Now exhale, Buddha said. Imagine your breath carrying hope and light to these suffering souls. The child's expression softened as if touched by an unseen force. His trembling subsided. Tonglen teaches us to turn pain into bridges of empathy, Buddha continued, his tone unwavering. The disciples practiced, their breaths transforming the atmosphere into one of quiet solace. A woman approached, her eyes filled with tears. Holding the hand of her malnourished son, Buddha placed his hand gently upon hers, offering a simple yet profound gesture of comfort. To give and receive compassion is to dissolve the illusion of separateness, Buddha said. His disciples watched the woman's sorrow lift slightly, like mist dissolving in sunlight. When suffering is shared, it becomes lighter for all who carry it, Buddha explained, his words resonating deeply. The disciples nodded, their hearts stirred by the profound simplicity of his teaching. Tonglen is a practice of courage, Buddha said, for it requires us to embrace suffering fully and respond with love. The villagers began to gather around, their spirits drawn to the quiet strength emanating from Buddha. A young man spoke, his voice cracking under the weight of despair. Asking for guidance, Buddha addressed him with compassion, offering words that carried the essence of Tonglen. Breathe in your suffering, not as an enemy, but as a teacher, Buddha said. The young man's expression shifted, his posture straightened slightly. As hope entered his being, Buddha turned to his disciples, their faces reflecting the depth of the lessons unfolding. The act of breathing in pain softens our hearts, Buddha explained, allowing us to exhale kindness and resilience. The disciples continued their practice amidst the villagers, feeling a quiet transformation within themselves. The village seemed to breathe with them, its despair tempered by the newfound presence of hope. Buddha sat amongst the people, his serenity a silent anchor in the storm of their struggles. Compassion is not a fleeting sentiment, Buddha said, but a force that reshapes the world when practiced with intention. His disciples gazed at him, their admiration deepened by the clarity of his wisdom. The villagers offered small tokens of gratitude, frayed cloth, a handful of rice, a simple bow. Buddha accepted these offerings, not as possessions but as expressions of interconnectedness. Night fell, and the village found a quiet solace. Holding on to the echoes of Buddha's teaching, the disciples remained, breathing in the pain of the world and exhaling boundless compassion. Buddha observed them, his heart filled with quiet satisfaction, knowing the seed of wisdom had been sown. Another day, the sun shimmered brightly as Buddha stood by the riverbank, its waters flowing with serene purpose. His disciples gathered nearby, drawn by the calm strength of his presence. The river murmured softly, its sounds blending harmoniously with the rustling of leaves. Buddha turned to them, his eyes reflecting the gentle rhythm of the flowing current. The river carries lessons within its ceaseless motion, Buddha said, his voice like the ripples that touched the shore. His disciples gazed at the water, their minds seeking to grasp the wisdom Buddha would soon reveal. Tonglen teaches us to give and receive, much like the river carries and nourishes life without reservation. Buddha knelt, scooping up water with his hands, letting it slip through his fingers gracefully. This water does not resist its journey. It flows, returning to the source effortlessly, Buddha explained. His disciples watched intently, marveling at the metaphor unfolding before them. To give without attachment and receive without grasping aligns us with the natural rhythm of existence, Buddha said. A fisherman approached, carrying a basket filled with the day's humble catch. Bowing respectfully before Buddha, this man's offering reminds us of the river's essence. Its gifts given freely, nurturing all who depend upon them. Buddha turned to the disciples. Holding the fisherman's gaze with gentle acknowledgement, place a flower into the river, symbolizing your act of giving without expectation or desire. The disciples obeyed, releasing flowers into the flowing water, watching them drift into the horizon. In the act of giving, we transcend the self and touch the infinite, allowing compassion to flow unhindered. Buddha stood, his robe blending with the hues of the earth and sky, embodying unity. Observe how the river accepts each flower without discrimination, letting them become part of its journey. A young disciple hesitated, clutching his flower tightly, uncertainty clouding his face. Buddha approached him, his demeanor unwavering but kind. "Do not fear losing what you hold," Buddha said, "for in letting go, you gain the wisdom of interconnectedness." The disciple released his flower, its bright petals mingling with the current, his expression shifting to calm resolve. Tonglen teaches us to embrace the infinite by becoming one with the flow of life, Buddha explained. A villager arrived, carrying a jar filled with water, seeking guidance on how to use it wisely. Buddha held the jar, gazing at its contents thoughtfully before handing it back. This water carries the potential to sustain and heal. How you use it reflects your understanding of giving and receiving. The villager bowed, gratitude evident in his smile, carrying Buddha's wisdom as a silent offering to his people. Buddha faced his disciples, their expressions filled with quiet admiration, their breaths synchronized with the river's rhythm. Compassion flows not in isolated acts but in harmony with the greater tapestry of existence. Buddha said. Night approached, casting its shadows upon the river. Yet its waters continued their unyielding journey. Buddha sat by the bank, his presence merging with the serenity surrounding him, embodying the lesson itself. Tonglen shapes the soul, preparing us to give and receive freely, mirroring the infinite generosity of nature. His disciples meditated, their minds attuned to the subtle wisdom carried within each breath they took. Buddha observed them, his satisfaction quiet yet profound. Knowing his teachings had taken root, the stars reflected upon the river's surface, carrying silent messages of interconnectedness and eternal flow. The disciples remained by Buddha's side, their spirits uplifted, breathing in suffering and exhaling boundless compassion. Buddha's gaze settled upon the horizon, his wisdom echoing in the river's unending journey toward its source. Bhikkhus, mindfulness is cultivated through practice, patience, and reflection upon the choices you make each day, the Buddha answered. Begin by observing how much time is given to chasing shadows, and how little is spent seeking light, he said. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.